If you know sourdough bread, you know that the sourdough starter is a quintessential ingredient to making a good sourdough bread. So that got me wondering, which flour would result in the best starter? So today, or might I say over the course of a week, I will find out. So starting off on day 1, I filled each of the jars with 50 grams of flour and 50 grams of filtered bottled water. For the flours, I used rye flour, regular bleached all-purpose flour, bread flour, chickpea flour, and almond flour. After mixing, I marked the starting point of each jar with a marker, and I make sure to close the lids but not too tightly as they could explode. And I don't think you want that. So here you can see how it looks after the first feeding, and from here we could go on to day 2. For both day 2 and 3, I simply just mix the starters up to prevent them from drying. This step is crucial in order to develop the relationship between the bacteria and yeast. Also, take note how much the starters rose. This is known as a false start, and I will get into more why it happens later. Alright, so this wouldn't be a science experiment if I didn't include a hypothesis. So for my hypothesis, I believe that the rye flour will be the best since it will contain the most natural yeast, while I believe that the almond and chickpea flour will not rise at all because they do not contain any gluten. In a sourdough starter, we are cultivating the natural yeast from the flour. And when we add water, we are allowing the yeast and bacteria to feed on the sugars of the flour. When it feeds on these sugars, it creates alcohol and gases, particularly CO2 gas. The bacteria then creates lactic acid, which is responsible for the flavor of the bread. During the first few stages of the starter, the bacteria and yeast are not yet fully established, which might cause sudden surge in activity. This would explain the rise of the starters on day 2, and this is known as the false start. And so for this reason, I decided to measure only after day 3, which is usually the end of the false start period. On the final feeding, we could see that most of the starters have doubled in size within a 24-hour period, and they look like they are ready to bake with, which leads us to our conclusion. In conclusion, the rye flour has proved successful in rising the most consistently and quickly, while the other flours took a little bit longer. However, the bread flour and regular all-purpose flour were not too far behind. Surprisingly, the chickpea flour did see some yeast activity. However, the almond flour saw no activity.